Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back with another My Five Wives review. This is season 2, episode 3, an extended family RSVP. Something that's bothering me with this episode, the conversation about their 3-year-old son Nicholas and diabetes. We'll get to it. But I'm trying to figure out why this 3-year-old is still wearing diapers, not pull ups, diapers, and drinking out of a bottle. I understand that I did things a little bit faster with my child. My child was potty trained by 18 months because if you can tell me that you poo pooed, you can tell me that you got to go to the bathroom. Right? And he was off the bottle way before that. So when I'm seeing this 3-year-old drinking out of a bottle constantly and having a diaper, I'm confused. And I get that things could happen, but it was something that bothered me. Maybe I'm reaching. We're family. Y'all can let me know down below. But yeah, it was something that bothered me. So let's go ahead and start. We begin the episode with a crying Nick and a flustered Rhonda. She works up to 13 hours at her job sometimes, and it makes it hard for her on days like this where he's cranky and she has to go to work. So for today's mom to watch him, it's Noni. So she brings him over to Noni's house. And Noni is doing her own work because Noni is like the office manager for Brady's company. She handles the billing and things of that nature. So we find out that Paulie, Noni, and Brady normally watch the kids, like it kind of alternates between them. At least those are the names that she mentioned. She didn't mention the other moms. Noni points out how they're all busy. They're all working. Some of them are working and they're doing school. None of them are stay-at-home moms. So we go from that, her dropping the baby off, crying and apologizing, leaving out the door, to Brady. So Brady received some good news at work. His company landed a huge contract with an apartment complex that will be bringing in a lot more money into the company, which means more money into his household. It is a $1.5 million deal, and he says that's significantly more income. So Brady feels like this is great news because his goal is to ultimately be the provider. And he feels like that type of money will make it so that his wives don't have to go to work, but they can choose whether or not they want to go to work. They can be stay-at-home moms if they desire to be. So at the weekly meeting, he sits with his wives and he shares the exciting news. He seems to me that he's really directing it towards Rhonda, but he's telling the moms about, how if they want to work, they can't. If they don't have to, because this job alone is going to help them a lot. So he's excited, but Rhonda doesn't seem as excited about him. He changes the conversation to the double date situation and wants to know who's next because he is ready for the next date. He also wants them to change the name because it's not actually a double date. So they joke about names like whether it should be a triple date or a mega date and things of that nature. So at that same meeting, Robin announces that she would like if they invite people over for 4th of July. She, like a lot of the other wives, miss having a social life and seeing their friends and family. It sounds good, but the problem is that it seems like most of their family isn't rocking with them, right? They don't agree with the choice that they made in leaving their church. So they've kind of been iced out, and Brady is worrying about who will show up, but he wants his wives to feel free to invite people to their home. So he tells them, yeah, that's a good idea. So we later see Rhonda and Robin talking about how things are with their families and how they are going to reach out to them, but they wonder what the response is going to be because when they do see their families, there's things that are just off limits. Like they notice that they won't have certain conversations about, religion and things of that nature. And as I think it was Rhonda put it, it's very surface No, did Rhonda say it or did Robin say? I think Robin said it's very surface level, and certain discussions are now off limits. So they're gonna make their calls. They're gonna see what happens. So we see the wives making calls to invite their friends and their family to their house for 4th of July, and it seems like they're getting a bunch of people who don't really want to come, and they're nervous because they don't know what the answer is going to be. So later on, we see Rhonda, right? This scene kind of got on my nerves, y'all, because Rhonda is concerned about her son Nick, who is sick. She keeps taking his temperature, and the last time that she was able to take it, he has 102-degree temperature. She says he's been drinking a lot of water, which I feel like when you're dealing with kids who are sick, even if they don't eat, there's certain things that they are willing to do, which is drink, because sometimes they get thirsty, or maybe they'll eat a popsicle or something like that, but they may not want to eat, or they may not be able to keep food down. I know when my son was little and he had really, really bad fevers, he didn't want to eat, but he would do stuff like if I froze grapes, he would eat grapes and he would do like a popsicle. But she's talking and she's saying how, he's drinking a lot. So because he's drinking a lot, nothing, she didn't list any other thing. Because he's drinking a lot, she thinks out of all things that he has juvenile diabetes. I do not understand how she jumped to that conclusion. I get that being thirsty is a part of juvenile diabetes, but there's so many other aspects to it. Like prior to him having this fever, was he fatigued? Does he have an increased appetite? Does he have drier, itchy skin? Is he having frequent urination? Is he bedwetting? There's things that also come along with this other than just thirst. I get that she's a medical assistant, but sometimes I feel like she's operating from a space where she's allowing her mind to work overload and automatically thinking of the worst. And that may be because of how she's raised. So she's on the phone and she's talking to her sister, and she's letting her sister know, like, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Yeah, I know it. We do have a history of, a strong history of juvenile diabetes in our family. Yeah. So, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. His ears are bright red. He has a fever, right? In my family, our answer to fevers have always been Vicks. Like, I swear, there's Vicks I always have Vicks in my house. I always have Vicks, and I always have ginger, right? Like, guaranteed. Fresh ginger is in the fridge right now. I just looked at it earlier and said I should make me some tea. Anyways, so we use Vicks, put it on the bottom of the feet, onion, depending on how bad it is. And normally that will draw out the fever, right? You put your sock over it, right? And maybe like some Tiger Balm to rub on your chest and stuff. So Rhonda has to work. He's there and he's hot and he's just in his diaper as she continues to check him, and he's laying down. I personally wouldn't have went to work, especially if I was concerned as Rhonda is. I would want to be with my baby. I would want to go to the hospital and see what was going on. But Brady's going to take him to the doctor's office and see what's going on. So Brady goes to take him to the doctor's office, and he can't even get him in the car seat. It's clear that this is something that he doesn't do often because he is struggling. And I'm struggling too. Because as I said, this young man is 3 years old and he's in a diaper. And then I noticed that as he's sitting in the car seat that he has a bottle. Where are the sippy cups? What are we doing here? So they head to the doctor's office. Brady keeps talking about, juvenile diabetes and how diabetes is, because Rhonda has now put this thought in his head that his son could possibly have juvenile diabetes. So they take the little boy to the doctor, or Brady does. Blood is drawn. And before finding out the results, Brady decides that because he doesn't like getting blood drawn and he did such a good job, he's going to take him to get ice cream. I said, what? Let's say this young man does have diabetes. I don't think taking him out for ice cream is a good idea. I think that that's a big no. And apparently, His wife agrees with me because later on when he's back at home and he tells his wife that he took the son out for ice cream, she's like me. She says, like, we're checking for diabetes, hun. Like, why would you do that? So he apologizes and says that he should have been thinking, he was just being stupid. And Noni feels like, you weren't being stupid, you were just being a good dad. Maybe it was a combination of both. It was a risky, I'll call it that. It was a risky move because if he was in fact a diabetic and he was given that ice cream, there's no telling how that may have affected a child that was already sick, right? So Rhonda is talking about how rampant diabetes is in their family and how it won't hurt to work on it. I agree. She's saying these things like everybody needs to kind of tighten up. However, as you're saying this, Rhonda is eating fries, which has a lot of carbs, corn dogs, which have a lot of carbs, and this is what you try to serve your son, who you don't know if he's a diabetic yet or not. And yes, you can eat those things, but I just know if the roles were reversed, I'd be so nervous about giving my child certain things until I found that out, right? So they're going to try to all, be accountable as far as that's concerned. So later on, they receive a call saying that his sugar levels look great and he does not have juvenile diabetes. His blood levels for sugar, they came back normal. And I don't understand what the problem was. Did we look to see if he had an ear infection? Like, they never actually said what was wrong with him, just that he's not a diabetic. So later on, Rhonda decides something's got to give. And she tells Brady that she's decided to quit her job, that Nick getting sick made her realize how much she is missing by working so much. And she wants to be there for her kids when they're sick. And she wants to be there for her kids when they get home from school. And Brady is ecstatic to hear this. He's wanted her to do this for a long time. And the fact that she's doing this makes him happy. She thanks him for making it so that she can actually do this, because him being able to make more income is giving her a little bit more security and being able to quit her job, right? So it's dinner time. It's Robin's night to cook. She decides to turn the home into a drive-through diner. It's cute. She's basically at her window and the kids are coming up to the window and they're putting in their order for whether they want, as I said, chicken nuggets or corn dogs. The kids enjoy it, as do the adults. So we see the family go shopping. Noni, Robin, and Paulie head to the grocery store because they need to pack up for supplies for 4th of July. They don't know who, if anybody's going to show up, but they're going to make sure that they have plenty of items for a good, solid 4th of July dinner. They end up spending $367 and like 37 cents. No, 34, under $400, a little under $400 on supplies, but it won't go to waste because they have plenty of kids. I'm going to assume that that came out of Brady's budget, because we know from previous episodes that when it comes to holiday dinners and things of that nature, that is an expense that Brady covers. So it's time for the next date. We find out that Robin and Noni will be going horseback riding with Brady, because they did the same thing with the last episode where they pick, and those were the names that were picked out. Robin is excited about going horseback riding, and with Noni, because she says her and Noni haven't gotten to do a lot with each other. So she's hoping that this will build their friendship. I don't understand how they haven't gotten to do a lot with each other. It just goes back to me believing that you have to make time for the people you care about. And it doesn't seem like they make a lot of time. Now, I don't know if they don't have time because the both of them work and they have kids and, like Robin's in school, or if it's just something that they've never tried to map out. But we know they've also previously had issues, because Robin let us know that when Noni lived with her, they kind of bumped heads a little bit. But she's excited about going because she says that, Noni is fun and energetic. Noni and Robin approach Brady and tell Brady that they're going to go horseback riding. Brady is immediately against it because he reminds Noni that she's trying to get pregnant, so she may be expecting. And he does not feel like it's a good idea to go horseback riding just in case she is pregnant. I don't know if that's a myth or not. You all let me know down below. But I have heard different things about how, certain activities shouldn't be done while you're pregnant. I don't know if you have to be further along for it to, like, I don't know when it's a danger to the person who's carrying the baby or to the fetus itself. So Robin is disappointed because she was looking forward to go riding. And Brady's like, well, we could do some other things, like we could do laser tag or, something else, or maybe we could do zip lining. And I guess he forgot, just like he forgot that she didn't like seafood. I guess he forgot that Robin is terrified of heights because he's making this zip line suggestion. And it doesn't seem much safer to me, her zipping down a zip line if she was pregnant versus her riding a horse. But what do I know? So Noni and Robin head off to their double date with Brady, and they get strapped into their zip lining harnesses. Robin is getting nervous because, as I said earlier, Robin is afraid of heights. The instructor reminds her that she can't forget to brake as she's coming down the end because there is a big tree. This does not help make Robin feel any better. She's more nervous than she was before. So Brady keeps talking and trying to pep talk, and he's kissing her, and she's hesitating, and she starts crying. She's crying, and she's looking back at Brady like she doesn't want to go. So he keeps on giving her a pep talk and telling her that she'll be fine and that she could do it. And he keeps talking. And I'm like, Brady would annoy me. Like, all that talking would not make me feel any better. But that's me. Maybe it works for her. So the instructor's like, look, it's about 25 seconds and then you're there. 25 seconds and then you're there. So she hesitates, but she does go off of the platform, and she's zooming down the line, and she gets to the end of it, and she's proud of herself. She's so proud of herself that she's even crying when she gets down the bottom. Not heavy, but you see her wiping her eyes. She says she's proud of herself, but it's not something that she'll do again. So Noni then goes, and Noni hesitates for a second, but she goes. She feels like, as she gets to the bottom and her and Robin are talking and laughing about it, she feels like this experience brought them closer together because she was able to see Robin be vulnerable, and she has not seen that before. I don't know if Noni has been hiding under a rock, because I saw vulnerability last season when the whole ring discussion came up. And yes, you may not have been there for the initial discussion, but you were there for the tell-all when they were sitting on the couch and Robin got teary-eyed as she was talking it again. And even Tamron Hall caught that this is still a sore subject. So you have seen her vulnerability, Noni. I just don't think you've really been paying attention to it. So Brady goes, and he's a big kid, and he's enjoyed himself. Afterwards, we see them have a picnic together. The subject of 4th of July comes up, and it doesn't sound like they're still sure whether or not people are coming. Doesn't sound like a whole lot of people are coming at all. So Robin brings up how Rosemary couldn't get a hold of anybody really from her family, and that Brady has made it be known that Rosemary is having a hard time. So Brady, as they're sitting down at the picnic, asks them to kind of reach out to their sister wife, Rosemary, because her family isn't supportive of her. And when she does talk to them, it's more along the lines of them asking her to repent and her to come back to the group. So I'm listening to that, and I can't help but thinking it's inconsiderate of them to want this young lady to come back to the group, to want this woman to come back to a group where she was abused. Because you all have put it in the comment section that Rosemary was assaulted by a member of her family. So for them being so inconsiderate and not even thinking about what her coming back would mean to her health, her mental health, her emotional health, or that this has given her a release, it's insensitive to me and it's cruel. And I think that for Rosemary, Rosemary has found safety in her family that she's created with Brady. So they head home, and they get ready for the 4th. So it's the next day, which is the 4th of July. the wives are setting everything up, and they sit around the house waiting to see if any of the people that they invited are going to show up. So as they're waiting and they're talking about what time it is and how nobody's there yet, let me tell you something. A lot of the parties that I go to, I purposely asked what time is the party starting, because I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people do not show up on time. I am one of those people who I'm going to show up to something early or on time. So I purposely have to like prevent myself from showing up early, because if not, I'm going to be sitting around waiting for the festivities to get going because nobody's there, right? So they're acting like let's say the party's at 3. It's, oh my gosh, it's 2:59 and nobody's here. Like, they're really watching the clock to make sure and see if people are gonna come. So we get the little music and stuff like that, and the camera just panning at the family with this empty, place with nobody else but the family. And you see the wives, setting up things, and they're waiting. They're waiting to see if people are gonna show up. And the people show up. Robin is happy to see that 3 of her sisters and their husband and all of their kids came. She said 3 of her sisters and their husband. I only saw 1 man, which makes me think 3 of her sisters married the same man. Let me know down below. But you already know how I feel about that sisters marrying the same man thing. It happened with the Dargers, and here we are. It sounds like that's the same situation with her sisters. Her mother is there as well, and we see them embrace. Then we see that some of Rhonda's family comes. We don't know who exactly. I think her brother and some other people, but some of Rhonda's family comes with their kids. And then Paulie's sister arrives with her kids. Rosemary, however, is disappointed because no one from her family showed up. I think Noni's family is out of the town, so they live in another state, which is why they didn't really mention Noni's. But Rosemary is disappointed. And she tells us that she's disappointed because she wishes that they would, come around, but they're not. So Brady is on the grill and he's prepping things. And then we see everybody line up for their food. They make their plates. They eat. We see them do potato sack races and water games. And they're just enjoying their family's company. Y'all, I miss being young. I did not realize how good I had it. Like, I knew I had a good life when it came to like summertime and spending time with my first cousins and my aunts and my uncles and them. But like, I had summer camp to look forward to. I got to go swimming almost every day. We went on trips, and I lived a really, really blessed childhood, right? Because some parents can't afford to put their kids in summer camp and things of that nature. And we always got to go to summer camp. Like, it wasn't even a question. I think I stopped going to summer camp when I was like 13. And that was by choice, because I could have became a camp counselor. And the only reason why I stopped going, because the one that I really, really liked to go to, they were closing it down. And I didn't really like the summer camp as much at the College of New Rochelle, because I experienced some racism there. Because I wanted to be friends with these 3 Jewish young ladies, and I have Jewish friends, so hear me when I say this. And 2 of them didn't want me to be in the friend group because I was Jamaican, they said, and they felt like I didn't belong. Things changed though, it's a whole nother situation. Point is that I had really, really great memories. So I'm sitting there and watching them and how much fun they're having as a family. And I miss the family gatherings and all those other things. And they're just having a really, really great time. Now my family, we only get to see each other when there's death. And I hate that that's become a thing. I really, really do. But we're so spread out that it's hard to do like a family reunion. But maybe one day we'll be able to do it. Well, I don't know now. Let me be clear. Because a lot of people not going back and forth. If they're not a citizen, they're staying where they're at because they don't want to risk anything. So maybe one day after things aren't so crazy, it could be a thing. So, it's pouring. Everybody is just enjoying each other. Rosemary and sits with Noni, or I should say Noni sits with Rosemary, and she says that she knows that, she's having a rough time and she's just kind of checking in on her. And Rosemary's like, I know that my family doesn't want to be around me because they don't believe the same thing as me. And I just wonder if they'll ever support me. And it's sad because I do not feel like a thing like religion should alter the way that you treat people, when I would hope that the core of any religious belief would be that you love one another. And how can you be loving to someone when all you're doing is condemning them? I just don't see it that way. You don't have to believe what I believe, and I don't have to believe what you believe, but that doesn't mean I can't care about you. That doesn't mean that you can't care about me. We all think differently, and that's what makes, us unique. But in this situation, with their polygamous belief systems and what we've read, they automatically lump them as Gentiles and feel like they're going to hell. And as a result, they're kind of shunned, and some of them aren't ever spoken to again. Like, there's a lot of things that happen for people who leave or are kicked out, right? Excommunicated. So later that night, everybody's in the, I don't know if it's the yard or if they went somewhere. It looks like their yard, but I can't tell. But they're all gathered in this one spot. It's sisters, brothers, cousins, grandma, family, because they're going to be watching the fireworks show that's off in the distance. They have glow sticks and everybody's sitting down and they're ready for the show. The show starts going. It looks like it's nice. They enjoy it. And Brady says it's not the family you grow up with, it's the family that you choose to grow with that really matters. And they're choosing to grow with one another. And that's how it ends. These episodes, these next, because this is the second, no, matter of fact, this is the third review that I've done for this. And it seems like this season 2, like there's not as much to talk about. But I guess my question for you all is, what do you think about the whole assumption automatically that Rhonda had in thinking that her son was a diabetic? Do we think, and I don't know because I haven't watched this full series yet. I'm actually doing this like watch review. Do you guys think that she's a little bit of a hypochondriac? Because she does make mention, like, I know it comes across like I'm a hypochondriac. Do you think she's a little bit of one because of all that, she's experienced with her own health issues, or what? Because it's something about her jumping to the conclusion that he's a diabetic out of all things because he had a fever, and well, not because he had a fever, because she said because he was drinking a lot of water. That makes me wonder, like, what else? Because he could have just been dehydrated. I mean, it's so many different things to it. Anyways, y'all tell me what you thought of this episode. Like the video as it helps the channel. I have not started it yet, but I will soon be starting. It just depends, really. I'm going to try to do it maybe within maybe within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to start watching Poly Family. I just haven't had the time because, as you all know, my son graduates next week. So I've been trying to, prepare myself for that. And I've been more present with family stuff than this, even though y'all fam too. But, it's my baby. It's my one and only. So got to make sure that we, celebrate him and his accomplishments. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.